Mike, you and I are back at Biz 360. So, what's the topic for today, Mike? What do you think?
Hi, Daryl. Good to see you again. And today, what I want to talk about is my thoughts on a report I read from Gallup, and this is the latest Gallup state of the world in terms of employee engagement. What really surprised me was that globally, the figure they've arrived at is that only 23% of employees can be called truly engaged in the business. And at the moment, they're segueing into quiet quitting and all of the other current buzzwords. But if you turn it the other way around, that means that roughly 70% of your employees are not engaged in the business and are really just ticking over. They're not necessarily very productive. They're not necessarily building the business and providing the expertise that you might want. And if that's true, after them measuring it for 30 odd years, it strikes me it's not a great return on trying to kind of measure employee engagement. So is something else happening, and might there be something better to start thinking about and measuring than general employee engagement and satisfaction?
So, Mike, why do you think it is they stick with that notion of employee engagement? Why is that such a buzzword? Because it does seem to be a buzzword, especially among consultants, especially among big agencies doing these assessments. Why is that a buzzword?
I think it's like so many things that if you say it long enough and loud enough, then it becomes a norm, and no one challenges the norm necessarily. And I think it's time we gave the norm a little challenge to see if there might be something different and better.
Yeah, especially like you're talking about. I mean, if it's been assessed and yet here we are 30 plus years later, the numbers haven't changed. I mean, you think about it, like when we're in school, if you get below a 60, you're failing. If they're getting 23% of people, engaged, that's a failure. That's a huge failure. So how do we address that? I mean, how does FitBiz challenge that piece? What do we throw in to make it different?
Well, I think we've got to start talking about our 4C model, and I'd like you to just expand on why we call it 4Cs.
Well, basically, I mean, the notion is that it's not about the engagement necessarily. It's about looking at a deeper level. I think it's about really looking at what it is that these employees are experiencing. Mike and I had started our conversations a long time ago talking about the idea that each individual, each employee has psychological needs that they're looking to have gratified in the relationship with work as well as in life in general. And one of the things we had come up with was a notion of the 4Cs. And the 4Cs are these. And over time, we'll break these down for you guys a little bit more. But the 4Cs are these, is that there's got to be communication. And the communication, of course, has to go both ways. I'm willing to listen to you, but you're also willing to listen to me, which leads us to the second C, which is collaboration. Now, by collaborating, basically, I feel like I'm a part of this engagement. I'm not just some cog in the wheel like we talked about last week, where I'm not really that important to you. I'm just someone who does the job you tell me to do because you've communicated this with me. And now you're saying, okay, we're collaborating. But really what you're saying is, okay, I need you to do this work, and that's the work you need to do because I told you to do it. The third is confidence, or a sense of trust. And I think that that's key, because if I don't trust that you're listening to me, if I don't trust that I matter in this process, I'm going to disconnect. Quiet quitting is a definite result of this sense of disconnection, because I don't feel like I trust what it is you're saying to me. And that trust isn't just employees at a lower level. That's trust all the way to the very top, from the mailroom to the boardroom. And then finally, connection. Because if we have communication and we have collaboration and we have confidence, then we can feel free to connect. We can feel free to engage. And so I think when we talk about these things, Mike, it challenges the notion of, just employee engagement to take it to a deeper, much deeper level. And like you and I have talked about before, satisfaction is one thing, but it's like saying, oh, I'm fine. An employee who says they're fine is an employee who's unhappy. There's something else going on at a deeper level. So I know our time has drifted But you and I will pick that up and we'll talk more about it next week if that's okay with you.
Brilliant.
All right. Everybody,
Thanks a
thanks
lot.
for joining us on FitBiz 360 podcast, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon. Take care and be
Bye.
well. Bye-bye.